Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Vivs here from Slide Nerd. In this video, I will show you how to save an array list of custom objects when you rotate the screen with the help of Parcel and Parcelable. Let's get started. So here's something I would like to get an answer from you guys for. On my Facebook page, facebook.com/slidenerd, I had asked a question today morning whether you would like to see me use a dark Android Studio theme for my upcoming videos. Now, while some of you are saying yes, some of you are saying no, I would still like to know a good answer so that I can switch my further videos to a dark theme or keep the current theme. Do let me know in the comments below of this video. So let's go back to the topic now. Here's our app on pre-Lollipop and Lollipop devices that we have constructed so far. If we rotate the screen right now on Lollipop, you will notice that we load the data again because it says 29 rows have been fetched thanks to a toast message I added. Once again, if you rotate the screen here, you will notice that the data is loaded once again. For the first step, we don't want this. Once we load the data in one of the activities or the fragments, we want to ensure that the data stays as long as the user doesn't exit the app, at least for now. Later, we'll see how to make it more persistible by putting it inside a shared preferences or database storage or whatever. So let's take a look at how we can do this. If you go to our fragment box office class, all the data that we want is stored inside this array list of type movie objects. It's called list movies. If you go down further, you will notice that inside our send JSON request method, where we have gotten a response, we have stored that response inside this list movies. So how can we handle the fact that when the screen rotates, this data gets saved? It's pretty simple, right? We have to just override the on save instant state method. I don't think I have done it so far, so I'll have to go here below my constructor and say on save instant state. So once I do that, here all I have to say is out state dot put something, right? As you notice, it says put parcelable array list, and then there's put boolean string. There is no mention of a simple array list anywhere except for a string array list, which can be found here at the bottom somewhere, which says put string array list. There you go, put string array list is out here. Now put parcelable array list is the one that we want to use. It says give it a key and give it an object that extends parcelable. So what is this parcelable and what are we supposed to do? If you go to the documentation for parcelable, you find out that it's an interface. It says interface for classes whose instances can be returned to and restored from a parcel. So what is a parcelable? What is a parcel? If you go to parcel here, it says container for a message, data and object references. Now this entire concept is a huge one. Parcel, parcelable, intent, bundle, binder, they are all members of the same family, something called IPC in Android. Now I'll be talking about it in detail, but just to show you the rough overview of what a parcel basically does, here you go. You have an object here, you say write to parcel, all the data from that object is going to be taken and put inside a parcel. Now this parcel is going to be given to your Android framework where it's going to run along. Now when you rotate the screen and when you come back, that parcel is going to be available to you once again, from which you can read the data into the appropriate fields as shown in this image. So that is the simplest way to understand. In other words, your class that you want to save implements parcelable, you override the methods and you decide how data gets written inside this parcel object that we are talking about. Before we get to the meat of parcelable, there is one more way we can save this data, and that is by using a serializable. Here I can simply say outstate dot put serializable. In this case, all you have to do is make sure that your movie class implements the serializable interface. If you're familiar with Java, serializable is one more way of writing and reading objects to and from something. So here is a comparison of the different ways you can do it. There is serializable, there's parcelable, there's JSON, but notice that of all the ways mentioned here, the parcelable is the fastest way of writing and reading objects, which is why we have a special discussion on it. I have not talked about serializable in my Java videos at the time of making this video. But by the time you're watching this, it's quite possible that I have something on it as well. So let's get back to the parcelable and see how we can implement that in our class movie. So inside our movie class, simply implement the parcelable interface. You need to override two methods. One of them is describe contents, the other one is write to parcel. Right now I have a log statement inside both of them indicating something is about to happen. If you go to the documentation for both the methods, you will notice that there is describe contents, which simply says Describe the kind of special objects contained in this parcelable's marshaled representation. In our case, there are no special objects and we are going to return 0. By the way, if you're curious on what is the special object, there's a nice Stack Overflow post where they have talked about it in detail. Be sure to read this post as well if you're curious. So going back, there's the write to parcel method here, where it says flatten this object to a parcel. In other words, you have to take this parcel object that is provided to you and store all your instance variables or properties of the movie class inside this parcel. So going back to our code, we can do that simply by saying dst.write, and there's a write for every type of data that we have except the complex objects and other stuff. So we need to first write the ID that we have inside long ID. We can simply do that by saying write long here, and we can pass the ID. Same way we can write a string by saying write string here, and we can pass the title here. Now coming to the third variable here, which is of type date. So what do? We go down here, and if we say dst.write, there is no such method for writing a date object. So there are two ways you can do this. You can either say write serializable here, and you can pass the date, which is not a good idea because you know very well serializable slows things down. The other way is you can convert the date object to a long and then write and read that long. Let me show you how we do that. We simply say dest.write long, and we can say date, that is our release date theater, dot get time. Now this is going to give us a long in milliseconds, and while reading it back, we can convert that milliseconds back to a date object. Now this would be preferable. In fact, I would like to ask you which one you think is better and faster. The other variables out here are pretty simple to write and straightforward, so I'm going to skip through that. There's int here. For that you have the write int method, and there are all strings. Now one more thing that I would like to bring to your notice is that there is no write boolean method. If you go here and if you say dest.write boolean, there's just a boolean array. There is no single boolean. So if you have a boolean variable, the way I do this is very simple. If the value of the variable is true, just write an int for 1. Otherwise, write int for 0. And read it back the same way. So that fixes the boolean problem as well. So let me complete the remaining fields. So at this point inside the write to parcel method, I have written all the necessary fields. Now ensure that while reading back, you read them in the same order. Otherwise, the string values, if you read them upside down without regard to the order, you're going to store the wrong value inside the wrong string variable. So let's go back and see how we can implement the read part of the parcelable. So the second part in the parcelable documentation says classes implementing the parcelable interface must have a static field called creator. It's of type parcelable.creator interface. Now this is the part responsible for doing the read inside your parcelable. If you go to the parcelable.creator, it says interface that must be implemented and provided as a public creator field that generates instances of your parcelable class from a parcel. In other words, it has a method called create from parcel, and that's exactly the whole idea. So if you take a look at the source code sample here inside the parcelable documentation, notice that they have made it public static final, which is exactly what is specified as per the documentation. So let's go and just copy this part here and add it inside our movie class here. So we go down all the way. We have our public static final parcelable.creator. Now this time the object that we are trying to restore is movie. So we can add movie over there. Same way we can replace it everywhere. You can have a control R inside Android Studio to just replace stuff. So I can simply say my parcelable and replace that with movie object everywhere. Replace all. So now you see there is this method create from parcel. Let's put a log statement here and understand when this method gets called here. So we say create from parcel here, and we can say movie, get a better understanding. Now inside this we have simply said return new movie. So we are returning a new object of the class movie from the parcel that is provided inside. Now the problem is we don't have a constructor which is defined in this format. So we have to go up and make our constructor, which will be public movie, and it will also take a parcel argument here. We'll call parcel input, and from this we have to restore all the data back. So we can go here and simply restore it the same way we read stuff. For example, you can say ID, which is our long ID. We can say parcel input dot read long. And as you notice, there is no concept of keys over here, which is why I said the order in which you read and write stuff must be important. It's the same way we can restore the other fields as well. We can say in.read string input.read string here, at the top inside our constructor, and this will give us access to the title that we are looking for. Now there's date, which we need to take care of. If we say input dot read long, and that's going to give us a date. If you remember, if you go to the bottom here, we had our write string, this write long, write string, and write long here for the release date. So here we need to convert that back to our date object at the top by reading back. So that's how you can read stuff. Now if you're reading a boolean, it's pretty simple. Just take input.read int and check if it's 1. If it's 1, make your boolean variable true, otherwise make it false. So let me complete with the remainder of the reading stuff as well. So there's our complete read part of the process completed as well. So you go down there, you notice that there's another method which says new array. In case if you're planning to use a movie array object and you want to save that, then this takes care of that as well. Other than that, just straight from parcel where we have a logcat statement, and this will be triggered. So let's take a look at this in action. Going back to fragment box office, to save all the list of movies when the screen rotates, go to the onSaveInstantState method. Here, use the outState variable, say put parcelable array list, give it a key, and put the array which is list movies in our case. Now I need to create the key, so press Alt Enter, and it says create the constant field state movies. I'll simply call it state movies over here at the top. At the same time, while restoring things back inside the onCreateView method, I'm going to simply check if the saved instance state is not null. If the saved instance state is not null, it means we are coming back from a rotation. Here I can load it again by saying mList movies here or list movies here, and then I can say saved instance state dot get parcelable array list, and I can pass the same key, which is state movies in this case. And don't forget to set this list movies on your adapter by saying adapter box office or set movies list movies over here. Also, you don't need to send a JSON request every time in our onCreateView. Send it only if it's the first time. So we can have an else clause here, and we can say send the JSON request if this activity or fragment is being created for the very first time. For all the subsequent times, simply load it and display it. That's the whole idea. Now when you run the app, let's take a look at what happens. So when you go to the main activity on pre-lollipop, notice it says 29 rows fetched. Same happens when you go here on the lollipop device as well. And here's a list of all our movies. But now when we rotate the screen by selecting this rotation icon, take a look at that. There is no more loading. Again, you go back here, you rotate the screen, there is no more loading. So that is working perfectly, solving our issue of loading data again and again. But if you're a person like me, you believe what Bill Gates says all the time. I will always choose a lazy person to do a difficult job because a lazy person will find an easier way to do it. And if you're a lazy person like me, then the Parcelable library is the right one for you. You don't have to write all this Parcelable code, write and read and all this stuff. All you have to do is add an annotation called @parcel in your class after you add a Gradle dependency for this library, and it will automatically parcel and unparcel all the fields that you have. There are some restrictions, like it says don't add private fields, and then you have to use this method parcelable is parcels.wrap and unwrap, and there's some amount of documentation going on here about it, and I'll probably cover this sometime in my videos somewhere when I talk about this library. In the meantime, if you like what you saw, please like this video, share this video, subscribe to Slide Nerd, and let me know your thoughts in the comment boxes below. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a nice day.